welcome back to this special edition of the Fabulous Picture Show and our masterclass with the wonderful director, Mira Nair. Mississippi Masala is a story very close to your heart. Your husband's Ugandan.
My husband, I found him during the making of Mississippi Masala.
And what was your husband doing at the time?
He was a professor of politics at Makerere University, the local university in Kampala.
So Mississippi Masala helped you find a husband. Yeah. There we go, ladies. Single ladies go into filmmaking.
Everyone fly to Kampala today.
But so it became very close to your heart then.
Mississippi Masala actually came out of being a brown person in the middle of black and white at my university at Harvard. You know, it was a very interesting place to be because I was accessible to both black and white communities, but there were invisible lines I definitely felt. So I was looking for a story that would be about that.
I know you and your folks can come down here from God knows where and be about as black as the ace of spades, and as soon as you get here, you start acting white and treating us like we your doormats. I know that you and your daughter ain't but a few shades from this right here. That I know.
And what if a Ugandan Asian girl fell in love with an African American boy, and one who had never known India as their home, and the boy never knowing Africa as their home, and what happens if that would happen, you know?
I'm mixed masala.
What's masala?
It's a bunch of hot spices.
Oh, you hot and spicy.
You mentioned your experience in university, feeling on the periphery of two colours, white and black, as you say, which is something that is very much a constant theme in many of your films, always being an outsider.
Well, I didn't feel peripheral in university, but it's interesting that I am always inspired by those who are considered outsiders, you know, because I always question who is the person who has the right to make that decision.
In our Hindu society, an unmarried girl is of no use.
This idea of, say, respectability was the heart of my earlier documentary, India Cabaret.
If my life was settled, I too would find a good man, get married and stay home. Even I think like that. And what does she think? She is in her prison, cooking food every day, looking after her man, her babies. She must think, if I had the freedom, I too would roam the world.
When you put the juxtaposition of it with dancers who long for respectability and the woman who has respectability longing for freedom, you wonder who is the more free. And often, again, these are so-called outsiders, but they have such resilience and such wit and, you know, and no self-pity, which was also the basis of why I fell in love with the street kids in Salam Bombay. In Kampala, we call it lifeist, you know, someone who is intoxicated with life and has an appetite for living. I really gravitate towards making films about people who have this will to live and live not just marginally or, you know, in a meager way, but live with a full heart. I always believe that when your heart is loosened, then you feel the sorrow even more.
Can you talk about the difference between making studio films and independent films?
The process is very different. My common joke is that I'm a very collaborative person so long as I have the last word, which doesn't fully happen in a studio film. And action, Hillary.
Have you heard from Lindbergh? What did he say?
Well done.
Okay, so yeah, that's good. The dance with the studio film, and it's really a dance. You have to enjoy the dance. You have to enjoy the rhythm of it, because otherwise you're screwed. It's always a negotiation. In my own films, because I have the good fortune of also producing my films, I have, of course, complete freedom, and I create a financial structure where that freedom is possible to me. Another thing I want to tell younger folks who are starting is have the eye and the heart to pick your collaborators and be loyal to them, be devoted to them. And of course, they should not be yes people. They should always take you further. And this is something I've really cultivated, is my family, so a film family.
I just want to ask, like, how do you make the transitions from making movies in India based on Indian themes with Indian actors to making movies in Hollywood with actors from Hollywood?
I don't make a distinction between making so-called Indian movies and so-called Hollywood movies. I make a distinction between the independent and the studio system, so it's not about treating Nasiruddin Shah any different from treating Hilary Swank. The actors need a safe environment in which, I like to say, in which we can all make fools of ourselves, in which we can take risks and jump off, things that we've never, we have to try things. And it is the director's job to make that happen, to make everyone in your team bloom.
Imagine somebody lipping me.
After September 11, you made a short film which was absolutely beautiful. It was such a compelling story. A young man who was vilified in his death. He was accused of being involved in September 11. Let's talk about him.
I am a New Yorker, and it's the most international city in the world in which people who look like all of us here will never feel anything but at home, except after 9/11. After 9/11, people who look like us were the other. There was an amazing compendium called 9/11/01. A French producer asked 11 directors to make 9 minutes each on anything, a carte blanche freedom on 9/11. And again, truth was stranger than fiction, and the newspapers had this constant tale of the Hamdani family.
Something happened? The papers are accusing Salman of being a terrorist.
College in Germany. You know someone such a long time, yet you don't know the first thing about them.
What is happening?
A woman who taught English for 25 years in a Brooklyn high school, who had 4 sons, and one of her sons didn't come home that day.
Now, on one of the files, it says your son is a Pakistani citizen, and another it says he's a British citizen.
No, he's an American citizen. He was born in Pakistan, but he's an American citizen.
And so she went from her son being missing to being called a terrorist, and then when they found his remains, he was declared a hero because he went to help. He was an ambulance medic on the side.
Is this the price you pay for raising a compassionate human being? You have honored America by choosing as your final resting place.
And I thought that story was really indicative of the rising flames of war talk against the complexity of real people, human beings.
Till we meet again.
Is theatre experience really very important before going on screen for the movies?
Frankly, I think life experience is the most important, because a director must have something to say. The theatre for me was a microcosm of that life, and I came as an actor, and that was interesting because you understand the fragility and the power of being an actor, and also the training of it. So that, I think, it's helped me enormously because I'm with the actors. I'm in solidarity with them. I know not to just yell at them and say, just do it better.
To elicit your views on censorship, whether you are for it, against it.
I think the way that censorship has been conducted in India is a very archaic method. It is completely subjective, and you're entirely at the mercy of whoever the committee may be. Look at what happened in India with the fact in the earlier days when kissing, when lovemaking, things like that the whole world does, and certainly in India we do because our population is, going crazy, it's like old as the hills. So, but that was not allowed on film. So what did we do? We made songs with 1,800 thrusts of the most vulgar order. What is that? That is just a twisted way of getting past the censorship. One thing I wanted to share when I made Kama Sutra, which was obviously and consciously, amongst other things, an erotic film, I insisted with the Indian distributor that we have women-only screenings. So Tuesdays was devoted to women only. Then women didn't feel like they were coming to see a film that had, was tricky in front of men, And it became, and the movie is so much about female solidarity, that the screenings themselves became about female solidarity and great humor and freedom, actually.
Since when is woman simply a helpless animal? Just like men, we are awake and filled with longing.
But no buts.
You've often had incredibly inspiring women. You seem to have a tendency for matriarchs. But let's talk about Amelia Earhart specifically. What was it that appealed to you most about this woman?
The first thing that got me was the 16 hours of newsreel of the real Amelia Earhart.
Another national heroine, Amelia Earhart Putnam.
And even though she was an icon in her lifetime and really famous, there was a odd and consistent sense of humility in her that really captured me. The bravery and the kind of crazy adrenaline that she got from the thrill of it, and she would make no bones about that. That was the other thing I loved. I fly for the fun of it, she would say. I want to do it because I want to do it. You know, she didn't make big, grandiose statements. And then I got involved, I said yes, and when you say yes, you're riding the tiger.
She's a warrior, and she's certainly an inspirer. Can we please thank Mira Nair here? Thank you so much.
Excuse me, sir. Where am I?
In Gallagher's pasture. Where are you supposed to be?
When I left, I was aiming for Paris.
Oh, you missed, you know. It's over there.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this special edition of the Fabulous Picture Show, and we hope you were inspired by the talent and generosity of Mira Nair and her masterclass. Thank you, Mira, and thank you for watching. See you next time.